Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Untitled Tarot. Now, this is going to be your full moon gods at play reading for the sign that is down in the title. It's a bulk introduction as ever. There will be a timestamp down below, but stick with it this time, at least the first time, because there's some good information I've pulled together, I believe. I've had some real fun researching this and working everything out. So, timestamp because, or first time because, it's a good idea to watch at least 3 of these. So your sun sign, your moon sign and your rising sign. My personal favourite would be your rising sign. You know, if you don't get to watch any of the others, watch your rising sign. There's a link down below for a birth chart if you don't know what that is. It takes you to AstroSeek. If you do know a little bit about astrology, you can choose what house system you want and all that sort of thing. So, being a general reading, of course, it's not aimed at any one person specifically. So it's a sort of, it either is for you or it isn't. It's not really a reading where you can ask a question beforehand, although you could if you want to. I don't know how effective that would be. It's a look at the energies that are interplaying. It's the gods at play readings, by their very nature, are dramatic, wonderfully dramatic. So take it all with a pinch of salt. Remember, it's the shape of the images rather than the literal words that are important here. So let's get on to this new moon. So 9 degrees Aries. This is the harvest moon, which is the first full moon after fall equinox. Now, the astrologer Kelly Rosano is saying it's a great reset. It's a great time to make a fresh start, to reinvent yourself, to keep moving if you have a strategy. And if you don't have the strategy, work on the strategy. You know, don't just move without a strategy. But if you can keep moving, do keep moving. Now, with it being 9 degrees Aries, I'm going to be referring to all my written notes and some notes on the computer here. This point has a history this year. So, back on the 11th of July this year, Chiron stationed retrograde at this point to conjunct 3 days later on the 14th with Mars. So this point has been activated already with that warrior fire energy of Mars, but tamed a little. Tamed is probably the wrong word, but in the act of receiving instruction. Now, Chiron, a lot of people remember that he's the wounded healer, that he has the wound that will not heal. But I'm not being led to that woundedness with this point. What I'm being led to is the fact that Chiron was a teacher of heroes. Chiron trained Hercules, among other characters, and I've suddenly forgot all of the other characters. It's just fallen out the back of my brain. But Chiron was a teacher. And going back to the astrology, because I'll get back to the symbolism of Chiron in a moment. So Mars conjuncted with Chiron on the 14th. Now, Mars had just conjuncted 3 days before? No, as Chiron stationed retrograde on the 11th here at 9 degrees, the moon conjuncted Mars. Now, the moon had been a busy boy. From the 5th of July, he had been conjuncting with Jupiter and Pluto, then on the 6th, Saturn, and he delivered all of that information to Mars on the 6th via the means of a sextile, you know, which is it's a modern aspect. It's like a little vaguely positive download, I would suppose. Then the moon conjuncted with Neptune on the 10th and took all that ocean energy straight to Mars on the 11th, which Mars then took, you know, obviously quite possibly reeling and, you know, having that comic moment of and then it conjuncted with Chiron. So Chiron was there to help Mars make sense of everything that the moon had just gone at him. And now the moon has returned. I mean, obviously it returns every month, but now the moon has really returned in the terms of this harvest moon, full moon. So I'm really seeing that there has been a period where we have been able to make sense maybe of wounds, or make sense of our path forward, and things that you started around the middle of July, so 11th, 14th, all that sort of area onwards, can be coming to a culmination of sorts with this full moon. Now, that's just a culmination, not the culmination. So it's not like a final conclusion. It's you're going to be reaching towards a high point, a potentially healing high point, but as a result of everything that you have learned and things that you set into motion back in July. Now, the symbols back this up somewhat. Let me get through to this. Here we go. Now, the Chandra symbol is the roots of a tree entwined around the statue of a nude woman. So the explanation of this sounds a bit weird, but just think about the weird time we have gone through with 2020, with all the lockdown restrictions, with the new restrictions that we've had to introduce for ourselves to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe, the financial restrictions that have no doubt come in at the same time. And these restrictions are definitely being highlighted now by the current Mars square Saturn, or Mars Saturn square is what I was going to say, which goes to show again that Mars trying to demonstrate everything he'd learned under the tutelage of Chiron. It's we have got to find a way forward, and Saturn's going, if you find a way forward, you do it sensibly, within the limits. You do it within a defined pathway. You do it with strategy. Another thing Kelly Rosano said in her video was that squares are like a step up. You can use them, and I think Rick Levine has talked about how you can resolve issues in a square creatively, using creativity, but that square creates tension in the first place, so it's highlighting issues that are already there. So going back to this roots of a tree entwined around the statue, so it says bondage and freedom sometimes go hand in hand. The bondage is being true to pattern, predictable, here's Saturn, caught in habits and tendencies perpetually left to grow like weeds. The freedom is that as you meet yourself starkly in the midst of these old, tired patterns of behaviour, you come into touch with a quickening flame of self-recreation, stimulated and forced by being at the mercy of the relentless powers. Now, if that doesn't sum up what is also going on in the astrology around this full moon with that Mars-Saturn square, I don't know what does. You cannot... the heavens are most definitely giving us a huge message here. Anyway, I'll continue with this. The impulse to make yourself over is fervently strong, courageous, ready and willing. The old stuff dies hard. You are therefore engaged in a pitched battle of a protracted kind between retrogressive and progressive ideals, impulses and desires. Both sides are so impassioned and sharply intent that this could become a knockdown, drag-out battle of wills. Now, if that doesn't reflect the politics as well as our own internal struggle at the moment, I don't know what does. Where was I? The atavistic backward-leaning will feel immune to change. The visionary forward-thrusting will feel moved by evolutionary forces to never give up. Eventually, the future prevails over the past, but not before scars and multiple traumas mark the spot of fighting for your life against an implacable inward enemy who knows it will lose and fights all the harder accordingly. I hadn't read that right through to the end. That doesn't bode well for the election, does it? So, moving on. Another thing is the Omega symbol. Again, I'm reading Aries 10 because this full moon is at 9 degrees and 8 minutes of Aries, therefore it's in the 10th degree. So in many different places, a man keeps seeing the same number. It's talking about interacting and being inspired. Now there will have been over this period, I mean, there is over any period, but over this period especially, certainly under the tutelage of Chiron, there will have been certain things which will have appeared again and again and again. And with all the circumstances that we've had recently, we're pretty much forced to look at it. Just as Saturn is now stationing direct, turning to face Mars as it goes in that square to it, and Saturn is like this, look here, this, those things that you cannot resist, those things that you cannot ignore. And when I say you can't resist, I don't mean like chocolates, I mean like a wall. You cannot resist a wall if you run into it, you know. This so it's definitely highlighting those limitations that we're going to face, and how we are going to be able to change ourselves to overcome those limitations. Now, presiding over this degree is the angel Eladia, who the phrase I have here is looks can kill, protection from the evil eye and divine grace. But so I investigated Eladia a little further, and as a guardian angel, where she is, I think, is it the first half of the second decan of second half of the second decan of Taurus, but she also presides over 9 degrees Aries, 21 degrees Gemini, and my database isn't built up any further than that. There will be another 3 points that she presides over. Now, Eladia symbolises tolerance and clarity of mind, giving you inspiration to succeed in your endeavours, as well as helping in restoring your morale. He also brings you healing and forgiveness for your faults. What is really interesting is that of the charisms he rules over, it's interpretation. It's how to interact and how to perceive the world around you. Now, you can ask Eladia to bring you divine grace so that your faults may be forgiven, but that's also a process of, to do that, you need to have recognised your faults in the first place, and then to have them forgiven, you also have to make sure that you are not making the same faults again and again and again and again. So there's that whole rebirth element going on once more. So here I've got Guardian Angel Eladia provides tolerance, mental clarity, forgiveness, healing of illnesses, recognition of your mistakes. So Eladia will help you recognize where the mistakes, and that's a good thing, because if you think this Mars square Saturn, it's Mars retrograde, we are reviewing what we have already set into motion, and then as Mars goes direct again, we get to do it again, but properly. Eladia offers a sense of freedom from your past and helps instill a sense of morality. I'll just leave that one there because that's too much of a hot topic there. But within the Goetia, the by day, let me see. This degree is ruled by Baal by day and Phoenix by night. Now, Phoenix is depicted as a phoenix. So again, we've got that symbol of rebirth, and he's a great Marquis of Hell, has 20 legions of demons under his command, but he teaches all wonderful sciences and is an excellent poet and tends to be very obedient to those who summon him. Now, he does hope to return to heaven after 1200 years, but it is noted that he is deceived in this hope, and it's definitely been 1200 years since Solomon helped conjure him to help build his temple. So if the full moon is happening in the night where you are, there is that added oomph of rebirth from that phoenix energy. Now, Baal or Baal is more of a shapeshifter and warrior god. He's also incredibly, well, kingly. Basically, he's one of the 9 kings of Goetia, and he presides over solstices, fire festivals, gives aid in astral projection, shapeshifting within dreams, and is also helps with the reconciliation of friends, which might be a really useful tool. And that could be a step on your using that square to climb up, because Tempers afraid this year, understandably. If there's anyone that you need to make up with, and the full moon is in the day where you are. I mean, I remember last week there was some astrological conjunction or other, well, aspect or other, that was also helping with this whole reconciliation idea. So that energy is obviously still with us by Baal being empowered by the full moon. Now, that's probably technically not the right way to say it, but you know, Baal's mastery of this degree empowering the full moon, put it that way. You know, so all in all, this promises to be a really good full moon if you take advantage of it. So yeah, do your full moon ceremony, but also be in touch with people. Be in touch with all the voices inside your head, and be in touch with some of the voices outside of your head, like your friends, your family, anybody that you maybe need to smooth things over with, and anybody that will help you move forward in things that you have already set into motion, and hopefully set them into motion using your strategy that is so heavily advised by Saturn. And you set it into motion before Mars turned retrograde. Now's not a good time to start new things. If you haven't got a new thing that you have started, then plan, strategize. You can move forward once you have your plan and your strategy. Now, you're going to hear a lot more of this sort of stuff from me. I want to give a very quick plug to the Astrology Hub and the course that they are running with famed astrologer Rick Levine. That starts next Sunday, 4th of October. I will be doing that course as well. So you know how I keep saying, no, I'm not an astrologer? Well, hopefully by the end of it, I'll be that one step closer to being one. I mean, okay, it's still going to take me a decade to get there, but I get to study under Rick Levine. How cool is that? And so can you. So if you go over to the Astrology Hub website, astrologyhub.org, just Google Astrology Hub, and then whatever that web address is /foundation, and you will find that course. It works out $200 and odd with tax, really odd, like $4.50 or something, $4.88 I think I paid. So yeah, if you're into all this stuff, and hey, you've listened to me drone on for what, 17 minutes now, I better get on with the reading in a moment. But you've listened to me waffle on for all of that. So come and join. It should be fun. Now, there's also a link down below for my Facebook page for this channel. I'd be remiss if I didn't give that a plug. There is an inbox on that Facebook page. So if you want to contact me for a personal reading, feel free. That's one of the ways to do it. You can DM me on Twitter as well. I have a Linktree link down there for all the different social media bits and bats. And I have the time now October is, yes, I've no idea what month it is. I mean, as Rick Levine said, we are on the 175th of March. But October, I have a lot more free time. I hope to be generating a lot more videos for you. And I've just seen my video go really weird there. So I think I will stop talking now and bring up the cards. Cheers. And well done, Gemini Sun, if you've made it all the way through my introduction, and welcome to Gemini Rising and Gemini Moon if you've just joined us after the timestamp. Now, if you are indeed Gemini Rising, then this is occurring in your 11th house, where it says here where the cosmos grants wishes, luck, friends and social occasions. But what is really interesting is that full moon in the 11th house can represent either take some time out to spend some time with your friends, or change your friends, change a whole group of friends and allow things to unfold naturally. Now, what I'm seeing here does seem to be far more the idea of changing that, changing the role that you play in other people's lives and changing a group of friends. We have, as the gods that are supporting you here, and that you'll notice a whole stack of them wanted to come out here, but we have Hades representing death, change. We have Kali with destruction. We have Mumia with endings and rebirth. These angels are all, you can all consider them to be bottom row, really. And also with the presence of Apollo, there is light being shown onto a situation, which is interesting because the top row, which, as you may recall, the top row represents not the gods but the archons disguising themselves as the gods, the ones that are trying to press you down, to suppress you, to keep you in that negative state. You know, whether it's fear or sadness or loneliness or rejection or just general misery or what have you. We have Hades again, or the archontic version of Hades, with the underworld, those things that are moving in secret. Now, it really does feel like you're wanting to change what you see as home, Hestia here. We have Eos with new beginnings. Oh, I didn't notice that one. So there is that whole thrust about change, whereas on the top, it almost seems like either someone's been taking you for a sucker, or you have been put into a role where you are giving somebody way more support than what they actually need. And this is at the expense of possibly a third person or the same person's wish to get one up on you, wish to get one over you because of something in the past. DT with revenge here. And they are using a perceived lack of capability or a perceived lack of independence to keep you dancing to their tune. And it appears to be that it's time for you to stand up. I did not expect this. After reading the definition of full moon in the 11th house, I did not expect this, but it's almost like it's time for you to take a stand. And it's not take a stand, I mean, we have I can never pronounce this one, Haiel as divine warrior. Is that idea of seeking for the truth, where it's the waters are muddied by DT here, Chiron here again as archons, all the motions that are going on underneath the surface and leaving you in a state of service. Or there's also the idea that someone is being that supporting and servicing to you when you don't actually need it. You know, and there may well be an element of, but that doesn't quite encompass this revenge secrets aspect that's going on here. Because it's something where you are being called to have faith in a new beginning. That's what I can call the reading. Far more positive than what I thought of so far. You are being called to have faith in a new beginning where the footing is a little more equal, where there is a little bit more independence of everybody concerned. You know, and I'm not talking about if there is somebody who is actually in need of some form of support, then they require that support, give them that support if they are actually in need. But there's some people that aren't and pretend to be. And, right, yes, because the giving or delivering of this support is a wish fulfillment for them. But let's have a look at what this Underworld card of Hades is saying, the Archontic Hades. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, they really think they've got all the angles covered. The other thing with Sheila and a gig here with gateways, I can't quite suss that card out yet. Or, apart from to say that I really do. No, I can. No, I can. Leading you where you don't really want or need to be. Yes, on the promise of nostalgia, on the promise of everything being wonderful, everything being fantastic. And to be honest, what this is suggesting is you require a new group of friends or new people in your life, new people. You know, so where you can watch what dynamic evolves and keep it on that level of equality and having faith in it. Because there just does seem to be something where you need to watch where things have been a little underhanded. Yes, the Apollo, God of Light here, above the Lover's card, there's a choice. Six of Swords, moving on somewhere new. There is definitely a changing your social circle, could be changing your job, you know, could be changing just who you choose to spend so much time with, or what sort of level of support or service that you are willing to give to somebody, or that you are willing to have them give to you. Remember, this can go both ways. But there is somebody who's wanting to delay an outcome, and this is in terms of, well, we've got Mahasia here with rectification, and I think that idea of rectification is actually applying to both rows. Whatever situation someone else is putting you into, that is them rectifying things in their mind. But I am tempted to say that it's not entirely fair, and it's not entirely something that if they had the self-awareness that hopefully you do by listening to readings like this one, that would they still be doing this? But this band of gods here is absolutely lovely. We've got the fact that the work that you have done is achieving a stable home, it's changing the world around you, it's opening the door to new beginnings, which is interesting with that Shilena gig there. Oh, and Persephone at the bottom with awakening. So we have awakening, the light of truth that forces a choice, moving on to a better place, destruction, shooting away from the death of something, and endings and rebirth with Mamiya. So yes, have faith in a new beginning, Gemini. That couldn't be a stronger message coming out, because whatever this mess is at the top, my God, it must be time consuming. You know, it must be really, it's always on a promise of things will get back like they used to be, but it's not happening. It's not changing. And that sense of rectification is not being satisfied on their part. It's not rectification anymore. It is revenge. Oh, well, there's cheerful for you. So, Gemini, if you find yourself in a situation where you're going, hang on a minute, where's that coming from? Um, or you find yourself in that situation of, you want me to do what? Or even if you find yourself in the situation of, you want to do what for me? Still? Can I not have 5 minutes peace? I don't need you buzzing round me. Any of those three situations, time for something new. Time for some flash of truth. Move on to pastures new. Have faith in the new beginning. So, simples. All right, Gemini, if this means anything to you, comment down below. Your monthlies will be out in the first few days of the month. I'm not sure I'll be able to hit the first, but we'll see what happens, all right? Cheers.